Welcome to Faithing Out Loud. I'm Pastor Tony Ruth Smith, and this is my husband, Pastor Wesley Smith.
Hello.
And we are delighted that you're here to be with us as we think about what it means to live our lives out loud in the world in a way that honors Christ. Let's join the conversation. It's Easter Monday.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Christos Aneste.
Aneste aleithos.
That is Greek.
It is Greek.
It means Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed. That's how Christians would greet each other. I'm not going to ask you to do that. You know what the best thing about Easter Monday is?
What's that?
All of the Cadbury eggs and the Reese eggs and the little Cadbury mini eggs, they are all on discount.
They are, yeah, they are.
Because the world is now done with Easter.
Easter is over.
Right? And yet, we just started.
True.
This is not unlike the whole Christmas thing, right? Everybody's done with Christmas on the 26th, but that's actually just the second day of Christmas. Mm-hmm. And there's, as the song tells us, 12 of those. There are even more days of Easter. Did you know? Did you know that the season of Easter is called the Great 50 Days? It is 50-day celebration of the resurrection of Jesus. It's one of the most ancient celebrations of the church. And according to CVS, Target, Walgreens, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, everybody, it is now Memorial Day, probably 4th of July.
It's summertime.
It is definitely summertime. But we are Easter people, and it is still Easter.
Yes.
So let's have a little conversation about how you can't discount Easter, even though you can discount Easter candy.
The resurrection of Jesus is at the core of that's the foundational thing.
It is it's the mark of a believer, of a Christian.
Yes, it's the central truth of the Christian faith.
That's right.
So two things here for me. One is what Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15, when he says, if there is no resurrection from the dead, if Christ was not raised,
right, our
faith is in vain. It's pointless. Mm-hmm. And we, of all people, are most to be pitied if Christ is not raised, because we're putting our hope in nothing.
That's right.
Then Paul says, but Christ indeed was raised. The second thing, I had a friend in college who was not a believer. He was my neighbor, sophomore year of college. He wasn't a believer. And he went home for Thanksgiving break, and for some reason his family decided to go to church that Sunday over Thanksgiving. And they went to what was then a kind of a new thing of contemporary worship, non-denominational church.
Yeah.
And my friend was super excited about it when he came back. Moved.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Loved it. Had a great time. And he knew I was planning on being a minister. Mm-hmm. So we were having a conversation about it. He told me he went to church. And I said, okay, good, I'm glad. And he said he was so moved by worship that he was wondering if he felt God calling him to be in ministry.
Well, that's a big leap.
Well, my response was, maybe take some more time about that. And then he asked me this question. He said, do I have to believe in the resurrection to be a preacher? And just basically said, yes.
Sort of
yes,
important.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Feels sort of central to the whole,
It's kind of the point.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And
it's a wild thing to claim.
Yeah, it is a wild thing to claim. And if you are not a Christian and you don't have a lot of experience with church, and like I did not make fun of him. I wasn't sarcastic or mocking of him, but I did tell him it's kind of the most important thing for us as Christians historically, that we believe in the resurrection. But if you have no experience with or exposure to Christianity, I can understand where somebody wouldn't realize how central that is.
Right, or that they would want to explain it away.
Yes.
Like, was he really resurrected? Like, he was. Were they seeing his ghost? Was it just?
Was he resuscitated?
Was he resuscitated? Was it really dead? He had just. Was it really cold? Did he have some sort of low body temp and his respiration rate slow, like something out of a movie. We need it to be something out of a movie,
Right.
Where he's not actually dead, but he's actually dead and in a tomb for 3 days.
Yes. Dead.
Wrapped in a shroud, stone in front of a tomb, dead.
Yes.
And the women that are going with spices because dead bodies have odors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's just be real. Like, they are anticipating a corpse.
Yep.
And they find an empty tomb.
Yes.
And when they see Jesus, in all of those resurrection appearances, every single one of them, Jesus, they can touch him. He is not, he's not a ghost. You can't, you can reach out and put your arm on him.
Yep.
He eats food. You can touch his put your finger in the holes in the scars, and yet, he's walking through locked.
Walking through walking through walls,
Right.
walking into locked rooms,
which is a little bit disconcerting. Let's just be real about that.
yeah, slightly.
Yeah. So, and yet this is the central claim. So why is the resurrection? Why is Easter so massively important for Christian people?
Well, go back to the beginning of the very beginning of of our faith, of the Christian faith, and the resurrection. The reason that it's so central is, in the first century in that part of the world, Rome ruled the world.
Okay.
The Roman Empire was dominant, and ultimately, Rome's power was based on their ability or the power they had to kill.
Right.
So it was a power of death. Now that there were other ways they wielded power through wealth, through whatever, but it ultimately was power that was gained at the point of a sword.
Right.
And so the power of death. And it's not like this is unique to Rome. That's the power of every human empire. Ultimately, is the power to take life.
Right.
The power to wage war more effectively. And so really how Roman Empire ruled, with most people, was through the fear of death.
Okay.
So they ruled by fear. And if you take away the fear of death,
Right.
You ultimately take away the fear of those who could kill you physically.
Right.
That really begins to erode kind of that claim to power.
Right.
And so Christians, as time went on, Christians, for Rome at least, became really kind of a problem. A lot of historical detail here, but just make this really short. The Jewish people were part of they had protection to practice their religion. They were kind of an officially approved religion under Rome. And when kind of Christians and Jews, when Christians broke off from the Jewish faith for a lot of complex reasons, but Christians were kind of on their own, they were not an officially approved religion of Rome.
Right.
And Christianity was a very public religion. Public preaching was part of that.
Right.
And in these places where there's a heavy Jewish population, it would stir up a lot of controversy. And one of the things Rome really loved was order.
Right.
People kind of getting in line, not creating chaos, not rioting, whatever. And
That's what governments love.
that's what governments love, order. And so Christianity began to be perceived as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And as time went on, increasing persecution, Christianity was illegal. And the power that Rome had was the power, ultimately, like I said, of death. But to a people who believe in resurrection,
Right.
that power is the threat of death is not. Now, individually, people still get scared, and of course, under threat of death, there were a lot of Christians who recanted and all this other stuff. But kind of as a whole, it created for Rome. Christianity created a problem.
Right.
More positively, as time went on, it meant that Christianity had within itself, that's focused on the resurrection, means that kind of at the core of what it means to be Christian is hope.
Right. this belief. Diana Betler-Bass says that the resurrection is God's final word, that even the most brutal of empires cannot destroy God's salvation.
Exactly.
Right? Like, no matter how, nobody can take away the power of God over, like even death cannot hold us.
Yes.
Like, even if you kill us, it's like in that song, The Lord of the Dance, they cut me down and I leapt up high.
Yes.
Right? I'm the life that'll never, never die. And so we tried to destroy Jesus, and Jesus could not be controlled by them.
Yeah.
And so there is the hope that gives the Christian person. You and I preach a lot of funerals.
Yeah.
So for Christian people to say, and even I mentioned last time about how I love Easter sunrise service and preaching in a cemetery. So to stand in this place where most people, what our visceral memory of cemeteries is the last moment that we laid someone to rest, right? And we've the death and the loss of someone we love, to in that place proclaim that death has not won anything is a very powerful claim and a very powerful hope that orients us in a different way. And when when hope orients you toward life, you become way less controllable by the things of the world.
Yes.
When you have a higher loyalty, right? When your higher vision is the resurrected Savior of all people,
yeah.
Then what could you do to me? Like, what could you do to me? The God I serve is greater than even death. Even if you killed me, I believe that I will live.
Yes.
Because Christ lives. Paul says Christ's resurrection is the first fruits of ours. It's a promise that we are going to be resurrected. And we're going to talk more next week about that. But, what exactly does that mean for us?
Yeah.
But it is a very powerful orientation toward hope, and a very powerful proclamation that the very worst that we can all imagine of what could happen to us does not have the final say. And
then you kind of combine that with what we talked about in our earlier conversation about Holy Week. Thinking about this in terms of power, that the resurrection gives us power, but it's not worldly power. It's not power over.
Right.
What the cross reveals is that Jesus emptied himself of power and denied those claims of earthly power. And so the power isn't like having power over people. It's not like we believe in the resurrection, so we have power over you.
Right.
No, it's power for the purpose of life. It's God's power for reconciliation and redemption. So it's not power over, but it's
power
through what Jesus has done for us. Power through the hope we have in Christ. And it's not power in order to rule over other people, but the power we have to live the way God intended us to live. The power to love who maybe previously we thought people were unlovable. We have the power to love them.
Right.
The power to persevere through fear and the temptation towards hopelessness.
Right. I think a lot of times about when people are talking about things things changing. It can be small things. Relationships are changing. Divorce is a big example, but even we're getting ready to have our last child go to college, right? Lots of little deaths happen across your lifetime, like deaths of old ways of being, deaths of not like death, like physical death, but you know what I'm saying, like endings.
Things
happen.
Coming to an end.
Right.
Yeah.
And in every one of those moments, I think to myself, well, either I'm a person that believes in death and resurrection or I'm not.
Yeah.
Either I believe that that when things die, God brings new life, or I don't.
Yeah.
And even the earth does that. Like all the new life that everybody's celebrating here at Easter is because something died.
Yes.
In order for God to bring something new to life.
Yes.
So I think that's worth talking about more.
Thank you for listening to Faithing Out Loud. Be sure to like and subscribe if your platform allows that. We'll see you next time.